If you want to save money on fishing lures, here's how to make your own homemade fishing lures. My name is Wesley Littlefield with YourBassGuy.com, and today it's all about DIY fishing lures. Honestly, this is really rewarding to make your own fishing lures, then go out and catch a bass with them. So I really think it's a great project, especially to get kids interested and involved in fishing. It just kind of piques their interest a little bit, and it's a lot of fun. So what I use for my DIY lures is pretty much anything I can find around the house. You know, I've got like kids' toys from Hot Wheels. I've seen Indie Yak Angler use Legos before. I mean, anything that might catch a bass's attention. Like this Lego, you know, it's got a flashy bottom and it's actually kind of a green color. I would honestly throw a hook on there and see if I could catch a fish with it. Now, obviously it needs some modification, probably got to drill some holes in it and that kind of thing, but that's part of the DIY process. My grandpa used to make his own spinnerbaits, and of course he had to buy all special parts, put them together, but it was a way for him to save money, and he made a lot of spinnerbaits. Here's one that was half finished. As you can see, you know, you've got the wire, we've got the hook and the weight. He actually poured the weight on the hook and the wire and everything. He's got a little jig where he'd set everything in it and pour it. But you could also use a hanger here. Now, what I would use for this hanger, like if you're using a cork to sculpt a hopper with, for example, then I would use a hanger wire, push that through, and then use the wire to put the hooks onto. That way it gives it something solid. The wire runs all the way through it, and you don't have to worry about the fish pulling out the hook through the cork. Or if you prefer to use wood, then you can drill a hole all the way through your wooden lure, put a hanger wire all the way through it, make some loops to put your hooks. There you go, easy way to attach it, and everybody's got hangers laying around the house. Obviously the plastic ones don't work. It's got to be the metal wire ones. Another thing that you might have lying around the house is an empty pop bottle or a pop can, and the tab is really just, there's so many videos out there on how to use the pop tab, from making your own chatterbait with it, which I thought was pretty cool, and I'm definitely going to try, to just using it as like a spoon attached with a hook on it. You know, there's several different ways you can use the pop tab, which I think is really cool. A good way to recycle it, on top of you get an excuse to drink a pop or an energy drink. And speaking of spoons, the good old spoon that you use to feed your mouth with can actually be turned into a fishing spoon. Now, this one was store-bought one because I haven't done it yet, but all you got to do is cut off the handle, drill a couple holes to tie if you want to tie directly to it, but I usually tie a swivel to my spoon and then tie to the swivel, and then another hole for your hooks, and you've got your own homemade spoon. If you've got any kind of grinder, or especially like a bench grinder, you can shape it a little bit, take your couple pairs of pliers, bend it however you want, that way you get your action. And you can even use the handle of the spoon to make a smaller spoon. You can see that these spoon, it's actually shaped very similar. So the handle here cut off would be very similar to this. Great way to use your old spoons. Once again, you get to upcycle them, and you get the satisfaction of when you land that bass, hey, I actually made this lure. The last one that I'm going to talk about is actually pouring your own soft plastics. Now, this is a little bit more involved. I've got a buddy who runs Pine Outdoors, and he does all of his own soft plastics, and it's a time-consuming process, and there's a little bit of investment up front because you do have to buy all the molds and everything and all the plastics and pour it in there and understand how all the plastics meld together and all that kind of stuff. But if it's something that interests you, it's a great way to, number one, eventually save money down the road on fishing lures, and it's a lot of fun, and once again, kids just go crazy about making their own stuff. It's a lot of fun. Growing up, I loved doing projects with my grandpa, whether we'd buy a little kit in a car and build it and put it together or whatever, but we never went and did like build our own fishing lures and take them out. And I don't know why, because my grandpa loved fishing and I loved fishing. We just never put those two things together. But looking back, I've been like, man, that would have been awesome. So that's what I'm gonna go do with my daughter. I'm actually gonna take some of these and make them into fishing lures, and then we're gonna test them out and see how they work. Some of them might work great, some of them might not, but that's the beauty of the DIY fishing lures. You just never know. Now, sometimes lures just don't work and you have to use live bait. And in that case, you need to know what the best baits are to use. And you can find that video down below me right now, and I will see you there. But before you go, never forget that education is important, but fishing is essential.